All right, I'll start over because now we're being recorded.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Um, Dr. Looney here, Mrs. Sowers with us, and several of our teachers are currently on this town hall. So we're excited to have this chance to come together. And while it might not seem like the best news, um, we did want to go ahead and to bring this out transparently. As we kind of hinted at the other night at our info session on Tuesday, and talked with the faculty some about, it was looking like there was a growing possibility that due to ordinances and working with the city and working with the state and then the contractors having to do the work and working with bond people and leases and all of the things that come with opening a brand new school and starting this wonderful new adventure. There was possibility that we wouldn't be able to open in what is currently 1701 Westchester Drive. And it looks like that's become a little bit more of a reality. We've looked at several different routes, but at this point, it is all but certain we won't, even though we pushed back to September 2nd, get to open at our permanent facility. As I said in my email, we have secured a temporary location, that temporary location being the church on 68, which is about 10 minutes up the road where Westchester turns into Eastchester and High Point just bleeds right into Greensboro, technically speaking, going up toward the airport. And what it looks like is, as I mentioned in my email, we're looking anywhere between 4 days and 3 weeks. The most realistic time commitment there would be about 2 weeks. And with that, we have been coming together to try to make the best possible plan we can. And we've been arranging for bus transportation to go from the permanent facility, which, again, is currently 1701 Westchester. We're getting a new address. So just a new address in numbers and name. That'll make it a lot easier for those of us who've gotten a little lost sometimes. But we'll have bus transportation going from the permanent facility to the temporary and back. So we'll start the day, move up, and be able to come back. We are talking about having our extended care at 68 as an option. And I know that people have a lot of questions, but before we get into the questions, I want to tell you about an idea that we as a faculty have been building. So with this delay, we want to launch our school year still purposefully and intentionally and joyfully with a mini-mester, not a thing designed to just fill time, but to lay a strong. Ooh, I'm echoing. Okay, there we go. But to make it a time to lay a strong foundation culturally, intellectually, and relationally that could help us not just this year, but years to come. This won't be a holding pattern, but an intentional prelude, a prologue, as it were, to our permanent academic rhythm and culture. This mini-mester has a lot of really interesting possibilities. For instance, we were already going to have our first day assembly, and we can still do that. We can even tie it a bit thematically. We already had the school-wide reading of The Tale of Despero that we can all start to bring together. We were already going to spend time working on training some of those habits of good studentship and of virtue. Well, we can still do that. We were already going to launch our house system and have our sorting and start designing pieces like a motto, a flag, building the culture of a little K-8 micro community, and we can still do that. There are a lot of other wonderful opportunities that we have here. Instead of having a field trip maybe in the middle of the year, when we're studying, say, the civil rights movement, we could front load the Civil Rights Museum trip to Greensboro. So the all in all that I'm getting at is the school will still open on September the 2nd. Our professional development plan will still start on August the 11th for our teachers. We're still going to come together to make this community, and we're going to carry some of that over into the new building because we don't want those to feel like two separate things, like it's they're disjointed. We want this culture that we begin building to tie into our permanent building. And I can't give you all the details of the plan yet. When we found out as a school that it was almost certain that we were going to have to open with this, the first thing we did was draft an email to the teachers. And then 2 hours later, we drafted an email to the families. The plans have started. They're not finalized, but we don't like surprises. We don't want people caught off guard. But to make something excellent, it will take a little bit of time. So I ask you to bear with us on that part. But that's kind of where I'm sitting right now. And we've talked with the faculty some, but let's open up to conversation.
हाँ जी.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start with Mary Black's question in the chat here, where she says, I want to know how the transportation is going to work because I don't have my own transportation every day. So do you mean the bus route to the school, or what is it you're meaning? I'm just making sure. Okay, so we will still begin our typical bus routes, but we'll add an additional route that once the buses drop off at the school at 1701 Westchester, they'll then take the kids up to 68. We'll then bring them back to 68 and then continue the routes as normal with the other drop-off locations.
And I think if we have enough students who are doing this, my thinking is we may have two buses, right? So the one bus, instead of dropping off at Westchester, will just drop off at 68. So the buses will run kind of the same. The one bus we haven't had so far enough the bus it in full, so we're in good shape with the bus. But then another bus for parents who might not normally take the bus, but also don't want to necessarily drive all the way up to 68 every day. We're going to have another bus that will pick up kids from Westchester and take them to 68 and then take them back to Westchester. So that's supposed to make it easier for parents who work full time and but weren't planning on necessarily having their kids take the bus. Right now, we don't have a bus stop south of the school. So all of those parents, I think this will make it easier for them. So you can still drop your kids off at Westchester Drive, and then they'll take a bus up to the NC 68.
286 children.
Yeah, you can also take your child all the way to NC 68. We will have a car line there, and you take them up there and drop them off, hopefully by 7:55, and they'll start their day there, and you can pick them up there. So we have several options now to get your children to that temporary location. So yeah, if you're driving your kindergartner, will we drop off and pick up at 68? You may do that, yes.
And we will have some faculty split at both locations so that, you know, your children aren't unmonitored or unsafe at all. Don't worry about that.
So I see the question about after school program, that the after school program should work the same. Your children will, if they're in the after school program, we're just going to have that after school program at the church on 68. So you would pick them up there at after work. I think it goes till 6. So
as far as sign up for the after school program, there are some links you can find on the school's website. But I'm also going to very shortly be sending out a little website of my own called the Liberty Letter, where if you don't want to dig through too much, it'll all be there. That'll come out on Sunday this week. There will be kindergarten assessments, but we'll come back to that in just a minute. There's also a link coming out about that later today. So as far as the car line and drop off, in the car line and drop off, let me go back to that one just for a minute. Effectively, the base plan is we will have teachers at both 68 and 1701, so that drop off can occur naturally at roughly the same times. As far as pickup goes, the same, just in reverse. So we'll transport the students from 68 back to 1701, and then we'll run the buses as normal and the car line as normal. We will get more details about that in written form a little bit later. As far as the after school program, and I know we've already hit these, I'm just kind of recapping for everyone. This can all be found on, let me go to the website just really quickly to help everyone out. So on the parents portion, and again, this will all come out in a running newsletter. But you can also, oh, didn't mean to send that to you, Ms. Fink. Sorry about that. I did a direct message, everyone. There we go. I'm unapologetically human. So the vendors for the uniforms can be found on here. The calendar can be found on here. After school care, the handbook, supply list, etc. So I hope all of that is covered there. The kindergarten assessments, information about that will come out soon. We will have about 15 to 20 minutes for people to do their assessments. We have our assessment instrument, and we'll sign up. We'll do some links for sign up soon. As far as field trips, yes, you will get more information about that as we develop the plan just a little bit more thoroughly and deeply. And Mrs. Sauer, would you mind addressing this question from Jennifer Huckins about what is left to get the ECO?
Yes, thank you. So the big things, along the way there were little holdups, but what we're into the construction now. The things that we're doing to the section of the classroom space that we're going to be using are we're painting. We're putting new floor down, replacing the carpets because I don't know if any of you got to see the carpets that those needed to be replaced. We are replacing the lighting in the classrooms with LED lights because they were fluorescent. We are upgrading the fire alarm system, and um, we're we're kind of upfitting the front office, and included with that are some access control, which is like to being buzzed into the school through the office. We have to put a new door to the front office for safety. So there's several safety security measures we're putting into place. Um, there's in the windows in the doors. So I'm a big believer uh, in being able to see in rooms where children are with adults. So we're putting windows in all the doors. Um, so all those things, because they're scheduled out, we're upfitting some bathrooms as well, just to make them. Um, we had little bitty toddler toilets. We're putting in adult fixtures so that they can be used by everyone. So all those things, again, we think that the worst case scenario is that puts us at 3 weeks in the temporary facility. All the contractors are being great and motivated and trying to get those numbers down. They're trying to do things faster than the schedule to make to get us in sooner. We're working on that. We do have one we've done the traffic study. We've worked with the NCDOT. We've gotten their initial comments. We're waiting for the final driveway permit, and um, we expected that this week. So anytime now, we expect to get the final driveway permit. So we've gotten a lot of the big things done. Now it's just finishing up the smaller things. Yeah, we got a question about phones and Apple Watches. And of course, North Carolina passed a law that said that students can't have phones during the academic day. But even before that, we were a limited technology school. We don't um, expect students to have personal devices with them. So during the day, I know typically the plan was for students to check them in at the office. We know some students have to have cell phones after school. You're riding the bus. I would want my child to have a cell phone, but they need to be in the office during the school day. I don't know if that's going to change in the mini mester. It's possible that that's one of the things that might be a little bit different. We might not be checking them in at the office during those few weeks. Students might be able to keep them in their backpack, but they will need to be turned off and um, not accessible, not being used. Ms. Black, we can, I think I think you and I should have a conversation about your particular situation with the transportation, um, because your situation is a little bit different than everyone else. But the bus will run, kids will get picked up um, like they were going to be before. This doesn't change anything about the regular busing. So I think we've had a conversation and we'll have another conversation. Okay, so on the Apple Watches, we haven't explored that a lot. Initially, we don't allow those kind of electronic watches. And if there's a special feature that might allow us to change that policy, I don't know. We can always open to exploring that. My concern would be off the top of my head about Apple Watches having as a setting that could be for school time and that it's not operating. Is that something that how do we know that that gets turned on? And our teachers, we expect a lot from our teachers. They have a lot to teach. They have to manage a large number of students. I'm not going to ask a teacher to be checking everyone's watches to make sure that they're not operational. So I think that we'll probably just say no. They can put them on after school. They can check them in at the office. They can put them on after school. If they have the Apple Watch in the backpack, then that's probably not going to be a problem unless they're taking it out. Phones need to be checked in at the office. And again, this mini mester might be a little different procedure wise.
And I'm sure it will be, just because we won't have everything directly as we normally would.
Right.
As far as a track team, we are still exploring that. The sports that we are most interested in this first year are things like track and cross country. We would like to explore student interest, but we're in the process of getting that. And as far as the recess area, yeah, we're looking at about October for the playground.
Yeah, we're working on that now, and I'm hoping by next week to have a visual for you what that's going to look like, and it's if we can get that finalized, I'm optimistic. So I say late September, but it might be early October to have that first playground in. Then we'll eventually have a second playground as well.
Okay, we got a lot going on here.
That's right.
All right. As far as the teachers being announced, I am delighted to say that based on our current enrollment, all of our teachers have been hired. If we have more come on to the third grade or fourth grade, we'll hire someone else in there. We will begin announcing some more information about our teachers pretty soon. We will need to get little profiles together. So,
and we've already started that. That's my fault because I have some of that information, and we have some teachers that have been willing to be, and I haven't gotten to that. So, yes, we'll get on that. Dr. Looney and Miss Powell will help me next week.
And by later this week, I'm sorry, I just responded about the kindergarten assessments. I mean, like later today. I will be sending out information about that.
So you want me to talk about the timeline on the rest of the upfit?
Yeah, if you want to do those.
I think so. I guess let me explain a little bit about where we are. Right now we're leasing the facility. The plan is to purchase the facility, and we've been approved for tax-exempt bonds, which is great for a new school. A lot of new schools can't do that, but that's a cheaper kind of financing than some of the other financing that new schools can get. So we're going to get we expect to close, I think, in August, and close on the bond in August, which means also then the school will own the facility. And with that comes more money to continue the upfit. So we'll have already done that first phase, which is the classroom space. And the next thing is the gym. And the gym, I don't have a specific timeline, but I think the spring, because it should be months shouldn't be close to 12 months. It should be closer to 6 months, I believe, based on my experience. We plan to start that. I think October is when we want to start the upfit on the gym. And one of the things that's going to determine how much we can do of the other things is the budget. So we're going to take the budget once we find out how much the gym costs. We're going to take what's left, which we think is going to be around $3 million, and see how much of the other stuff we can do. And that's going to determine what we do next. But we expect to have the other classroom space done certainly by the end of the school year, so that next year we'll go in with more classroom space as we add 9th and 10th grade as well. That essentially, I don't know, but I gave you a longer, I don't know. So did that answer what you needed? The atrium, as far as the atrium on that side of the building, will be longer because that's another phase that we haven't financed yet. Oh, this is a great question about requests to have kids put in the same class. Yes, I think we're gonna allow those requests. We can't promise to honor them, but that'll be part of the I don't remember what it's called, but we'll send a survey out and ask about your child specifically, and there'll be a time when you can request that. We always consider that, but we can't promise to honor it. Does that sound about right, Dr. Looney?
Yes, ma'am. As far as school beginning, school starts at 8 o'clock. What kind of shoes and book bags do you recommend? Go ahead. Looks like you had something you want to say on it.
Well, I was just going to say that the shoes need to be safe, and
Yes.
there's some specific requirements in the dress code, which is on the website, but I think it's like closed-toed, closed-heeled. If there's a heel, it can't be more than an inch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just safe. But any color, that's fine. No Crocs or flip-flops or things like that. Um, and as far as book bags, there's not a specific book bag that that it just needs big enough to be big enough to hold some books and the letter size folders, right? Binders.
And yes, shirts need to have the logo on them. The exception to that would be when we have spirit days, like we had in school for pep rallies, which we won't have a ton of, but or if we're having dress down days, they would still need to wear a Liberty shirt. So like the one you can buy in the office currently.
All right, I see a question about ceiling panels. Yes, that's one of the things that we're doing as we gut things and as we replace lights and reworking some electrical, then we're replacing any ceiling tiles that need to be replaced. We're also visually inspecting things and investigating if we need to investigate further. No. Okay, I think I'm going back to look. I think we've answered most of these questions.
Yep, now we have a few coming in.
Okay.
As far as open house, we haven't communicated the date yet. With the change of plans, we'll let you know as soon as we have all of that knocked out. As far as the details about it, if it's a meet and greet, etc., that'll be part of those details that we put out when we get them. A special day, those will be communicated ahead of time. I don't know what types of special days we might have yet, but on days when we need to wear official uniforms, for instance, if we're having a large assembly for, say, Constitution Day, that might be one of those. But we will be communicating any of these types of special days, whether it's dress in your full official uniform or dress, the option to dress down. Those will be communicated on that Liberty letter and in other systems.
Yeah, so we'll have our opening assembly, and parents are welcome to come to that the first day of school. It should be fun. Once we get in the new building, we'll have an opening ceremony, and that would probably be an official uniform. That'd probably be the first official uniform day, where we'll raise the flag for the first time and invite some special guests, and parents are invited to that as well. So we got a question about smock dresses. I don't know that we have smock dresses as part of the approved uniform. Ms. Powell could probably tell me that for sure. But she might not be on here.
Hey, Mary Catherine. I am sorry. It takes me a while to figure out how to unmute.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the term smock dresses is. There are some dresses. There are some jumpers and polo dresses approved on the Lands' End site that the polo dress would need a logo and the jumper would not. And that only is for kindergarten through fifth graders. That's what we determined. So that's that.
Thank you.
For the dresses. Mm-hmm. If anybody has a specific question, you can reach out to me if you'd like. I can help you.
Yep. So we have a question about assessments for students with learning needs. And Ms. Crow, who is our EC coordinator. Thank you. So, she's on board already. And if you have given us IEP information or 504 information, she's already looking over that. If you are a parent, though, of a student who has one of those things, feel free to reach out to her. Or if you've given us the information, she'll be reaching out to you eventually. Yes, so right now we have office hours, and after next week, once we get into August, that might change a little bit, but we'll be sure to put the office hours on the website so that, yes, you can come pick things up if you have your uniforms delivered to the school. Okay, and yeah, Ms. Black, we can talk about that specifically, but we have a process for identifying students who might need special accommodations or who might have special needs, and there's a whole process for getting those students evaluated and determining if they need an IEP or if they need special services. So happy to starting students on that process that might need that. The process does not always lead to an IEP because not all students need that. But happy to get that process started for anyone who knows that is a possibility. Okay, so we have a question about bus stop locations. They're on the transportation form, and but you're right, they're not on the website. We should look into that. We'll try to make sure we communicate the those locations. But if you haven't filled out the transportation form yet, if you email the office, then we'll send you the link to the transportation form and you can fill that out. We also will have a separate transportation form for the new bus to the temporary location so that we have an idea of who wants to use that and who needs to drop their students off at the Westchester location. So that'll probably be coming out next week. You can look for that.
All right. So it seems like we have answered most everything. And keep in mind, you can always email us. My email address is jlooney@libertycharteracademy.com. You can email into the school. You can call us, whatever you need to do. We'll try to get back to you as soon as we can. Right now, there's just a lot going on. We're not trying to be disrespectful if we take a little bit of time, but we don't want to leave you hanging too long. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and kind of call this one. And I want to thank you all for coming out. We will have another one of these sometime next week. A link will come out. We'll communicate about that for, if you want to come back with new questions, or maybe your family didn't get to come, or friends. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.